Hi everybody, my name is Jennifer and my favorite topic is ethical issues. In this case is related to optogenetics. A little bit of overview, pathways affected in stress, pathways stimulated in this treatment, behavior comparison for future therapeutic targeting, and ethical issues. This is the pathway that we are familiar with when we receive a stress stimuli. It goes all the way as it goes is higher the processing there, and end up in cortisol release by the activation of the HPA axis. This is great in short term and as a coping skill. However, as long term, it will affect the exact same route due to the feedback that causes down the regulation of the receptors, and therefore it continues releasing cortisol. Here's when optogenetics pathway comes. It's like a little hack or shortcut where it doesn't receive any stimulant receptor. It does receive UV light in the receptors of genetically modified neurons, specific selected neurons with photosensitive receptors that recall a selected memory. That helps in the after hippocampal formation, helps signaling with the right information to amygdala, limbic system, all the way down to the HPA axis, and is able to stop the cortisol release. In conclusion, the active coping is what we want to achieve with this treatment. These are several issues, and we're going to talk about the ethical one. Self-focused changes and also societal changes, because we're humans and we care. We definitely care about each other and want to be alone. And so basically, how do we deal with frustration? Shifting from passive to active coping, right? This is how we deal with it. Frustration often comes from unmet goals or simply unmet expectations, causing a negative bias and at some degree eventually dysregulation in the pain pathway, which contributes to a chronic stress cycle. The optogenetics simply breaks the negative bias patterns by integrating a recall safe memory and allowing the limbic system to orchestrate responses effectively. In other words, it allows the brain to operate under useful bias, or so I like to call it. However, this benefit comes with a cost, which is the loss of adaptive emotional response caused by environmental stressful stimuli alone, like a normal environment, not just UV light. Self-deception and mechanization or authenticity loss. In self-deception, bias towards purposeful or positive interpretation could overlook the real threat. This is the way I think. It's kind of like, is it overriding? Is it overlooking? I don't know. It's kind of blurry, that line. It is simply that we could lose steps in the process of interpretation and idealization of our own unique reality. This is the way I interpret it. Now, mechanization or authenticity loss. This is one of my favorite. Making a stress control programmable. When the person's emotional control becomes a mechanical process rather than a self-control one, right? For which a person used to be characterized or recognized for. This can lead to a less individualistic sense in which emotions are no longer emerged but are engineered. Lastly, change in society, prevent cortisol, freezes as a way of not saying overriding or eliminates, right? It freezes the bias associated with negative information and selectively promotes bias associated with skills needed. Humans will be less reactive and more proactive. Habits and activities could change with a new purpose and lead to eventually a new evolutive pathway, and all that is great. But unfortunately, this tool can be used for non-specific purposes in situations like politics, right? In which with the right intervention and manipulation, behavior can be conducted and at great scales as desired. So this is the end of my presentation. I can wait for questions about my topic. Thank you so much.